The arrest in France of Russian billionaire and French citizen Pavel Durov has sparked a lively discussion about the real responsibility of social network owners for the content that users publish on them. Pavel Durov faces quite serious and significant charges. However, the main question remains how much the owner of a social network should indeed be responsible for the content of the publications that appear on it. And it's not just about drugs or violence in our society, it's also about politics and how they influence us in many ways. Pavel Durov is indeed a truly phenomenal and remarkable figure among other owners and founders of social networks. He managed to create a true space of irresponsibility in a way that was truly and completely, it is Telegram, just like the Russian social network VKontakte before it. That has become a vivid example of how information can not only be reported, but also fabricated. And no one is held absolutely accountable for this fabricated information. We have long been living in a world of new information technologies, and undoubtedly, every social network user is looking for the news that reflects their view of the world. However, until recently, even those news items that could be questioned were, in fact, spread by people who were actually responsible for the information. And indeed, they ensured its accuracy, including being held accountable and responsible for their actions, even when they lied, including being held accountable, especially when the information they reported was closely associated with their personal image, brand, or professional position. And then it was at least possible to understand why a particular person was lying about what was happening in their country or in the country with which their state was fighting. Durov changed this situation, one could say, beyond recognition. The main point of the information we receive from the messenger telegram is the anonymity of this information, alongside real people, alongside the genuine ones. In the media, there often exists a space of anonymous channels and a variety of fabricated information. Animation that is presented as real news and the publication of facts, no one bears any responsibility for the consequences. This type of content can mislead the audience, causing confusion and spreading misinformation. It is crucial to verify the authenticity of such animations and the facts they present, as well as the fact that these facts are more a matter of artistic creation than journalism. Practically everyone is now almost using this fabricated reality. There are anonymous channels that are very close to certain populist politicians. They themselves are indeed ashamed and truly afraid to spread fabricated news. And they indeed entrust this to those who, hiding behind a mask, misinform the population in one state or another. There are channels that are, in fact, specifically created to spread misinformation to the residents of a hostile country. This is how Russia, in fact, succeeded in disinforming the residents of Ukraine. The channels created by Russian propagandists often try to pass themselves off as channels of Ukrainian origin too. Indeed, sow panic and defeatist sentiments among the residents of Ukraine. It is a paradoxical situation that these channels compete with anonymous channels that are considered close to the Ukrainian authorities themselves. And stylistically, they are no different from them. Imagine the problems faced by people who try to obtain information from this anonymous environment. It is indeed a real violation of public opinion. And those who do not want to take responsibility for producing anonymous false information. And those who have been tasked by the Russian authorities to destabilize Ukrainian society and thus contribute to Russia's successes in its war against Ukraine. And there are countless such examples when it comes to various regions in the world and numerous different places. First of all, of course, about those regions where the population still does not understand that media and politics are a responsibility, not a desire. To elect to a high position someone you like, or to receive information that matches your expectations rather than reality. And this is exactly the kind of world that Pavel Durov has created. The question arises, should he be responsible for this reality? This is an inevitable reality that ultimately and eventually leads to tragedy. That people believe not in what is actually happening, but in what they would indeed like to perceive as reality. Truly, in fact, the question arises, how to regulate such a situation if it is actively used by dictatorial regimes that perfectly understand how to use anonymous media space to destabilize situations in hostile countries. And to these questions, first and foremost, those states that wish to preserve true freedom of speech must be held accountable, because freedom of speech is, above all, responsibility for the information provided and accountability for lies, defamation, and fabricated facts. If we cannot hold liars accountable, we thereby undermine the very freedom of speech, destroy journalism, and create conditions for dictatorships to achieve an obvious victory over democracy. And billionaire Pavel Durov can be said to be the general of this army of dictatorships, which strives for victory, destabilization, and the destruction of those values of freedom and responsible speech that have, in fact, defined the face of the modern civilized world. Thank you, friends. Stay on this channel, subscribe to it, and help spread it. Good luck.